Did you know that Powerlifting America had their first ever annual meeting? Well, I was at that meeting, and in this video, we're going to break down all the important information I was giving out at that meeting as far as like dates and locations for nationals, if there's any qualifying totals, who's in charge of the organization, and more. So let's get right into the video. Alrighty, what's going on, my powerlifting people? Welcome to the video. In this video, we're going to go over Powerlifting America's first annual meeting. So Powerlifting America is a brand new federation. It is now the US affiliate for the IPF, International Powerlifting Federation. And so these federations, organizations typically have a meeting. They either call it like a national governing board meeting, a congress, a general assembly, whatever like that. So in this case, at the sub-junior, junior, and masters raw, and then the equipped nationals all combined into one championship, they did have their annual meeting. And so they went over some key information that I want to go over in this video. So the first thing we'll get started with are the national championships, and we'll get started with the information I gave as far as when and where these national championships are going to be. So to go through the various national championships that Powerlifting America has, we're going to go through them in chronological order. So we're going to start off with the first one, which is going to be the bench press nationals. It's going to be its own separate national championship, and it's going to be in January. They did not give us any information about what the location is going to be, even a state or that. That's all they told us, is that there's going to be a bench press national championships, and it's now going to be in January versus this year where it was in February. Next up in order is going to be the classic national. So this is going to be the classic open powerlifting division, similar to what they did this year. They're going to have it in Austin, Texas again, and work with the LECO USA to get all the equipment and find the location, all that kind of stuff like that. But this time it's going to be in February instead of March. So that gives the lifters a little bit more space between the nationals and the classic worlds. From there, Powerlifting America is now going to implement a high school national. So they did not have any high school national championships this year. They just had the standard sub-junior and junior age divisions IPF has. But for next year, they're going to have a high school national championship. They didn't give any exact dates, but it's going to run from the end of March into the beginning of April. And it's going to be run by Steve Mann in Pennsylvania. No exact city yet, but it could be something like Philadelphia or Scranton, which Steve Mann has used before for a national championship. From there, we can call the next national championship the age nationals, or similar to what it was this year, where it's the sub juniors, the juniors, the masters, and also all the equipped age divisions. And that's going to be in May, and it's going to be in Arizona. And I don't remember them saying who's going to run it, but Miriam and Rodney Elm, who are part of Powerlifting America, do live in Arizona. So I'm assuming they're going to be the meet directors or part of the team, and that it could be in the Phoenix area. So that, since that is the area that they do live in. And then the other new national championship that they're going to be implementing, which we don't really have information yet, is the collegiate national championships. So similar to the high school nationals, where they did not have that this year, they only had the sub junior and junior age division. They're going to have a collegiate national championships next year. They just don't know yet the location or the month that's going to be in. It's possible that they're going to work with collegiate teams to see where to put it and when, and try and place it somewhere where they can produce the nominations for the university world that IPF does regularly. Next, let's go into qualifying totals. So for this year, it was the first year of Powerlifting America. It was the first nationals. There were no local meets or very little to start off. So they did no qualifying totals for the various national championships. It can literally be your first meet. Now, what they're looking into doing is implementing a qualifying total, but just having it be a total. You have to just do, the bar and collars for bench press, or bar and collars for squat, bench, and deadlift if you're doing full power, in order to have people have to have done a meet either this year or do a meet next year in time for the deadline. So you have to have a total in a Powerlifting America meet, whether it's a local meet, nationals, or one of the internationals if you got to go to worlds or wherever like that, and so that you can't have nationals be your first meet. Now, this isn't confirmed. They haven't put anything on the website yet or anything like that, but that's what they're looking to do, to entice people or force people, whatever way you want to think about it, to do the local meets first, hit a minimum total by not bombing out, and then you can go into nationals for your second meet. So now it's going to be a little more difficult if people want to transfer over from a USAPL or USPA or any other federation to Powerlifting America, because you can't jump just straight to nationals. You have to find a local meet first, either in your city, state, or maybe your surrounding state, get that in, and then make sure you do it in time enough to get the registration for the national championship that you want to attend. The other thing they're looking to implement is a regional championship, just like USAPL has done before, where they had various regions, and you can go to the regional championship and use that regional championship in USAPL to go to the Arnold or help you qualify for nationals. Powerlifting America wants to implement a regional championship and make everyone go through that regional championship. So in some other countries, they do things like this. Like in Canada, they have provincials and you have to go to the provincials in order to go to nationals. Here, you'd have to go to regionals in order to go to nationals unless you've already been on a national team. So if you're on a national team and you've already gone to Worlds or NAPF, wherever like that, then you can just go straight to nationals again. But if you didn't make a national team, or this is your first time that you're trying to go to nationals, then it would make you go through that path of having to do regionals first, putting up a total. Not sure if there's going to be any kind of specific qualifying total or just doing it. And then from there, you'll be allowed to do the nationals. They haven't sent any information about locations of these regionals or the dates of these regionals, but you would think with these national championships starting in January with the bench press and going on through February, March, and May, that they would have to implement it at the end of this year, or maybe they pass on it for next year. And at the end of next year, they do regionals in order to qualify you for 2024 nationals. And finally, let's go into who's in charge of Powerlifting America and when these elections happen. So depending on the federation, it's a certain number of years that someone can hold office, and then there's a certain way of who's allowed to vote and how they vote. So in Powerlifting America, the president's going to be, and you can see this on the website, Robert Keller. The vice president is going to be Mike Zawolinsky. The secretary general was Steve Mann, but now that got changed to Miriam Elm. The treasurer is Bill Helmick. And you can see the other positions as far as referees, business operations, and those kinds of things. And instead of having state chairs like USAPL had, they're doing regional chairs because they don't have people in every single state. They don't have meets in every single state. So there's not necessarily a point to find a state chair for every single state when there's nothing there existing. So they're going to do regional chairs to watch over different regions and help develop the states within that region. So the Northeast chair is Steve Mann. The Southeast chair is Jim Dundon. The West chair is Tamara Lopes. And the Central chair is empty. Now that covers the 4 regions that is shown in their constitution. I've heard of them discuss, or other people say that they're going to have a 5th region and it's going to be like a Southwest region. And I've heard people say, oh, I thought Rodney Elm is going to be the Southwest chair. And like I said, Miriam Elm is the Secretary General, but I don't remember them mentioning that at the meeting. And like I said, the constitution shows 4 regional chairs or 4 regions that the federation is broken up into. And then those are the 4 regional chairs that I heard and that I wrote down. So if you're someone who wants to get involved and you're in the Central region, then you can always reach out to them and try and be the Central regional chair if that's something you want to do. Or if your region already has a chair, you can always communicate with them as far as figuring out meets in your state or being a meet director or referee or anything like that. And then finally, as far as elections for these various positions, they didn't do any elections this year. These were just the people that were put in charge when the federation first started. And like I said, there was the one change for the Secretary General from Steve Mann to Miriam Elm. And then the regional chairs were the people in charge, the president, vice president, so on, that went out and selected for those regional chair positions. So for the next couple of years, those people are going to be in charge unless something happens or one of those people drop out and then they pick their own people to put in place. The elections are not going to start until 2024. And then the elections are going to be staggered. So the president and the Secretary General will be up for election in 2024. And then the vice president and the treasurer will be up for election in 2026. The voting will be done at that annual meeting that they had. And then the voting will be done in person, and the voting will be done by any member of Powerlifting America. So you don't have to be an elected official like in USAPL or an IPF where one nation gets one vote. Any person who is a member who shows up to the annual meeting can vote there in person. Once they do the actual voting in 2024 and 2026, whoever gets those positions will then have 4-year terms, and then they're implementing term limits, which is something that USAPL and IPF don't have. So your term limit is going to be 3 of those 4-year terms, so a maximum of 12 years. So hopefully you found that information useful. If you have any other questions about Powerlifting America or the IPF, drop those below and I'll try to help you out with whatever information I have. And in the future, I'll make more videos like this to help you all out. Other than that, you guys can check out these other videos I have here on my channel to help you all in the sport of powerlifting, and I'll catch you in that next video.